Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives from varying skill range. I am the one that puts the pain in the paintress, Andrew. With me, the one whose corpse we definitely would leave on the side of the road if he died, Keith. Keith, is your mic muted?
Did he even say hello? Does he
No.
hear us right now? What is happening?
Well, we'll get back to Keith. And then also with us, the Robert Pattinson of this expedition, Aaron.
Hello.
Go ahead, Aaron. Aaron made sure he was like, all right, this is what I want my intro. So go, Aaron. Explain. Why was this your intro?
I did pick the Robert Pattinson of this expedition. I'm sorry, but Gustav is 100% modeled after Robert Pattinson. So I did a quick Google search here, and sure enough, a bunch of people are asking if Robert Pattinson was actually in this game. Oh, Keith, hey, welcome back.
Hey, hello, I am here. I don't know what happened.
So I couldn't help it. Every stinking scene with Gustav, his expressions and everything, it's Robert Pattinson. The Batman himself is in this game.
Well, as Aaron said, if you couldn't figure it out, this episode we did Clair Obscur Expedition 33 by Sandfall Interactive. Expedition 33 is a third-person turn-based action or just an RPG, like an old-school JRPG, where you are playing an expedition that has to go out to the paintress, who every year has a counter that goes down. And if her counter goes below your age, you end up getting eliminated and you just disappear from existence. So you are the latest expedition that's trying to go and stop her. But before we get into this, I just want to remind everyone, please make sure you join us on our YouTube, on our Discord, all the things. We live record every Wednesday around 8:30, 9 o'clock EST. So come join us. Always love having people join us. But yeah, let's get into this. Expedition 33. So whether or not this is a gamer pass for me, this is a hard pass. This game sucks. No, I'm just kidding. This game was awesome. This is a definite game. I absolutely loved this game so much. I was really looking forward to this. I remember seeing the trailers for it and I was like, this looks really interesting. The art style of it, the story of it. I was like, I really want to learn a lot about this game. And this game did not disappoint. There's very little I dislike about this game. I was so hooked on this. And this past couple of weeks has been very difficult. Game Pass is just keep coming out with games after like fantastic games that are fantastic games. Like seriously, Xbox, like you need to chill. I haven't seen my children in weeks. Like you need to stop. That is a joke. It's actually been months.
You didn't see them before that. I was going to say, don't lie.
But yes, Expedition 33, this is a definite game. There's very few. I honestly, I would recommend this to everyone. I've been seeing online some people complaining about the dodge and the parry, but we'll get into it. There's a lot of accessibility stuff to it. There's a ways you can build your characters. You got to stick with this game. This game's great.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to say this is for everyone because I get the accessibility is there, but there's just people who wouldn't be interested in the game. Now, this has been a very weird stretch of games for me in that I've liked all of the stories. The music has all been really good. These are things that are not typical of what gets me excited about a game, but Clair Obscur does it all. It's a definite game. I'm not going to waste a lot of time going into it here because I'm just going to end up talking a lot about it later. But there's with Andrew, there's really nothing I don't like about it. It's just a pure definite game.
So before I go into this, I just wanted to read some interesting facts about this game. I don't know if Andrew planned on doing this, but by facts, I mean, these are things I saw on the internet. So
they're true,
They can't be lies.
So I can confirm they are accurate. So the director of this game thought up the idea of this game while just being bored working at Ubisoft. So a glowing indictment of Ubisoft there. The lead writer of this game,
yeah, thank you, Ubisoft,
was discovered on Reddit. So we are going to talk a lot about the writing of this. The composer had never worked on a video game before and was found on SoundCloud. This game was created by junior developers with a staff of around 30 people. just understanding that I do not want to talk about this game. Like, I don't want to speak in too much hyperbole, but I think that this game might be a watershed moment in video games.
Yeah.
The last few weeks, we have hit on a lot of indie games, games that are not selling for $70, that are hugely defining for their genre. And people are in love with those games. This is a definite game. And unlike Andrew, when I saw the initial trailer for this last year, I think it was during one of the summer showcases. uh, I I did not love it. I thought, yikes, that looks like a mix of JRPG and French. I don't know if that's a combo I
French
really want to
RPG,
see. So
FRPG.
So I did not come into this one initially excited. I obviously heard the buzz, but I'm walking away from it, still plenty left to play in this game, and I'm hooked. It's an excellent game. It's a definite game.
Yeah. Craig, thank you so much for joining our conversation here. And he said, would I recommend this for people who aren't JRPG fans? I would. It's so obviously it's all right. When it usually comes to turn-based RPGs, this is usually the thing. I like them, but I know the big things that usually happen with them is they're a grind and they can be very slow. If you're tired, they can put me to sleep. We recently did Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I really liked a lot because a thing I like about turn-based RPGs is I can play with one hand. So having a new baby, I can feed with one hand and play a game with the other one. But this is absolutely engaging. I think this is a ton of fun. I think if you just absolutely hate the style, no, you probably won't like this. But if you're just someone who's like, I don't know, this is a really nice take on it. I think you would like this game if you're not a JRPG fan.
I
No,
mean,
I think that's a good way, because that's sort of where I fall on these. Like, I like the idea of a lot of the JRPG genre. I get bored with them, like you had said. Sea of Stars was another one previous to Clair Obscur that had a excuse me, just like a way of playing that it it kept me interested and kept me engaged. So definitely.
yeah, I push back just a little bit. Like, yes, this is a JRPG, but it adds enough of a twist that it actually feels like something you haven't quite played. So I would push back on it a little bit. Again, we will talk about the gameplay a bit, but I do think it's not what you'd expect for a classic JRPG.
Absolutely. All right, because we're obviously going to get into it, but just about every category we're going to be talking about here, like I like them in turn-based RPGs, but what Expedition 33 does is great. Starting it off, of course, is the story. This is one thing that is very commonplace with JRPGs. They are usually so slow to start because it's a lot of expedition dump and lore. Hey, welcome to such and such world where there's dragons and there's a princess or whatever, and something's happening, and this is your childhood friend. And it's like 2 hours of just setting this up. But the story of Expedition 33, as I said, it's very quick and to the point. You start off in this town called Lumiere. You already know, like, from your character that something's going on. It's called they call it the gommage, which, as I said, there's this ominous figure that they see in the distance that has essentially a giant glowing billboard with a number on it. And every year she lowers that number. So it starts the game off at 34. And when she lowers it to 33, anyone who's 34 just ceases to exist. They turn into petals and disappear. So your character is going around and saying goodbye to his love as she ends up getting gommaged. And then your turn is every time there's a expedition that tries to stop the paintress. But this has been going on for so many years that at this point, humanity's lost hope. And you are just trying to see if you can stop the paintress. And like, that was it. That was the beginning intro. And it just hit so good. Already I was invested in these characters. Even a lot of the characters you're kind of meeting that are joining you on the expedition, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're cannon fodder. But just in the short interaction with them, I'm like, I like these people. Like, this is a really compelling story as to what's going on. The story of Expedition 33 just had such a good mystery to it. I loved it so much.
Now, not as a complaint. Do they explicitly state that whole thing about the age, or is it just kind of you have to
Yes.
figure out? because I missed it because I was trying to figure. I was like, obviously there is something set and defined by an age, but I couldn't figure it out. It didn't diminish my story, and like I said, I figured I probably just forgot it or missed it, but I also couldn't recall that being told. That said, same. Like it, if you've just started listening to this podcast, you're like, wow, Keith really is just all about the storyline of the game. Because like I can't stop talking about it. Like everything about this game, and this has come up on some of our previous episodes. Was it the one you had to climb the big monsters? Uh, anyways,
Eternal Strands.
yes, Eternal Strands. Like we talked about, it's kind of just this boring generic fantasy world. It's kind of like you just opened up Chat GPT and said, describe a fantasy, high fantasy world with monsters and give me the lore. This is none of that. This is like its whole, everything is different. Everything is weird and odd and unique. And it's just so interesting. And I wanted to see more of it. I wanted to learn more about what these things were. What are these creatures and why is this happening? So it had just good investment, and the story acting is great. Not to get ahead of it, but there's actually like some really big names in the voice acting on this too. Yeah. So
Andy Serkis and
Andy
Charlie
Serkis,
Cox.
Yep. So like they have some pedigree right there, and it's just it brings you right in.
Yeah. Yeah, this game is outstanding. I mean, story wise, on paper, even as you kind of describe it, like even just the intro to this game, on paper, kind of sounds like it should be a disaster, right? There's no exposition, or as Andrew calls it, expedition. There's no exposition really.
I mean, I was playing with the name.
Kind of just.
I thought you just said it wrong, to be honest.
Kind of kicks you into it and feeds you a little bit of interaction before you kind of get to the big scene that really just leads you into the game. But it's pretty quick. And what you're banking on, you are banking on that emotional hit within 10 to 15 minutes of the game starting. Characters you've literally just met, characters you've seen zero backstory on, in a world you know nothing about. Why the heck are we in a France that looks like this? What's with all these flowers? There's a lot of things that aren't explained, and yet they nail it. This is what I say, where I think this is a watershed game, where how many games can hit that and nail that? None. Like none. There are literally studios out here spending hundreds of millions of dollars on games. And these guys spent roughly around $30 million, and they nailed that. And everything you're being drip fed as you go through the story is more interesting and more mystery. So you're constantly looking for the next thing. And it works. It's also just weird enough to be interesting. Like the Gestrels are, all right, this is kind of weird. You fighting a mime, okay, this is also really kind of weird. So it's got that weird, but yet the emotional appeal to it works so well. Another thing I think why it kind of works, the facial animations. We've complained recently with weird teeth and facial animations. We just get weird teeth. This doesn't have weird teeth. The teeth seem to be pretty good. And the facial expressions, they're subtle. And the subtle facial expressions, I think, is what works and what is allowing these kind of moments to really land. Yeah, story-wise, this is outstanding.
I will say, I am going to have one slight complaint with the story, but this is kind of commonplace. I generally, it just kind of annoyed me. You guys haven't gone as far as me, but there's a handful of moments where the game purposely just doesn't tell you things or explain things, when I'm like, this is an opportunity. Like, you meet characters, and I'm like, if I was in this world, I'd be like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? What is this? What is this? But your characters are just like, yeah, we'll talk later. And they're just like, okay. And they don't even talk about it later. And there's like so many moments, like they find a journal and they're like, oh my gosh, can you believe this? And then it just cuts out. And I'm just like, how am I not learning stuff? Like, come on, like, give me, like, it's just being mysterious to be mysterious. It's a slight gripe, because obviously, like, you obviously don't want to be like, everything's explained within 5 minutes. But it was just, I wanted to know more. And it was just kind of annoying me.
I think I'm the opposite on that. I because I appreciate this, especially obviously, when I used to have a movie podcast, this was something I kind of referenced a lot, was I appreciate a story leaving some mystery there for me. Not necessarily like important, like there was just clearly lazy writing, but I appreciate when something leaves a little mystery. Like it literally threw us into this world and really, like you said, gave no exposition. Like you have no clue what is actually happening. You're kind of getting drip fed information, but also branching into more mysteries. I personally like that. I think that for me, it's hitting. It's totally working with this game.
Like I said, this is a very minor gripe because yes, I agree. I do like a mystery, but it was just irritating. We were like these characters where I'm just like somebody asked questions here. Like, why is nobody trying to figure out this guy clearly knows something? Please ask him. Very minor, but yeah, this story, it's so well written. Like as Aaron was talking about with this whole development team, this also very much reminds me another kind of indie game that had fantastic success, Pal World. Pal World was the same thing. It was like a guy that had a vision, and he literally like one of the programmers he grabbed was like from a convenience store, like working as a convenience store. Like it was just a hodgepodge of people. Like like I agree with you, Aaron. I feel like this game is really going to start showing other studios if you have a team that's passionate about what they're doing and not being bogged down by producers and having to put in microtransactions and cosmetics and whatever, if you just let people create a great game, they're going to create a great game.
I mean, we just had a new Dragon Age game launch, and a common complaint on that game, and I imagine that budget was probably double, if not triple, what this game cost. A way larger studio with unlimited resources, and every comment is how devoid of any personality or interesting developments exist in that game. It is paint by numbers all the way through. And that's why I say this is such a watershed game, because I think that this game not only will be a financial success, I think it just hit 2 million copies sold, but it's obviously a critical success on top of it. And I think if you're a major studio out there making heck, if you're making a Final Fantasy game out there, you should be looking at this and saying, why can't we do that? Why can't we do that anymore? You can argue some Final Fantasies in the past have come pretty close, but what this game is doing is wholly unique just on the writing style alone. Not to mention everything else, and literally everything else is also just as interesting as the story. But man, you've got to look in the mirror. Some of these studios are falling apart with the budgets they've got, and yet here we are, the first game these guys have ever made.
Yeah,
first
I forgot to mention that. Yeah,
and this is what they came out with.
Well, I mean, with Aaron's fact list at the beginning, I figure we could have kind of gotten that assumption that this was their first game. But one of the things I really appreciated about the writing overall was the dialogue, because it's obviously a very dire story. It's very grim, but they have these moments of just real lightheartedness. It's not funny, it's not humor, but it makes you kind of smile. Like the Gestrels are a perfect one. Their whole thing, I joked that they're, artistic minions, basically. They just kind of talk goofy. They're, all they want to do is fight things. Yeah, they're
oh my gosh.
They're different shapes, but they're all the same. And they're one of my favorite, like, I don't want to say characters in the game, but one of my favorite pieces in the game. And I just I vastly appreciated their writing, but even just like the subtle little jokes of like it is with the Gestrels where they tell him the password is get out of the way and he needs to scream it. So he goes and he screams it at the Gestrel, and then he gets all like sad and he's like, well, they didn't tell me the password. It's just like this weird long setup of a joke that you get to, and you're like, oh, that was kind of funny. But then again, everyone's dying around you and everything is sad and terrible. So, but sometimes when a game does that, you're like, what are you trying to do? Like, why are you doing this? But they make it fit. And that's why I appreciated it so much.
But yeah,
appreciate the support.
Yeah, it's to me, it's wild how well crafted I think the story is. And I do, like you're saying, the humor in this game, because that's what I was nervous about. They showed one of the characters that you get later on, Minoko, in one of the last trailers, and they were like, oh, it's kind of goofy and funny. And same with SK. So it's just kind of like, like, is this game just going to kind of take you out of the environment with like the humor? And no, you're right, Keith. It fits so well where it's slight lightheartedness, but it's not super goofy. Like, it's not like they're tripping over on banana peels or something like that. Like, it's just the way those characters act are just very clueless and kind of dumb. And so they'll just say these things. And I loved the humor in this game. It's not a lot, but it's just hits at the right moments.
And what's like especially surprising about all that is the French are not especially known for their humor. So
Whoa.
if you expected going into this, I don't even think a Frenchman would be offended by that. So I'm pretty sure if you went into this expecting humor, but then you saw the French stuff, you're like, oh, this is not going to be very funny. But yes, it does actually have some lighthearted moments, which is needed. Again, just perfect writing, because levity in really heavy moments helps both sides out. It helps the humor feel better, and it helps the heavier moments feel heavy. Because when you have a little bit of that light and the dark, both of those things start to stick out and they feel better. So to be able to balance that is a hard thing to do. You see it again kind of in movies a lot where they mess this up, where they go really too heavy on one, and then when they try to put in humor, it just feels uncomfortable and awkward because why is it zooming in on me again?
Right, every time, man.
I didn't even put my
You
hands
stop
up that
talking with your
time.
hands.
It just goes rogue. Like the AI.
It wanted to add the humor.
So yeah, there's those moments are just so well done again in this game, and it's that balance is hard to do. It's hard to do in movies, and I imagine it's doubly hard to do in video games because you can't necessarily control the pace of which you're going through the game. So kind of hitting some of those moments might feel a little bit jarring, but again, just outstanding work altogether.
Yeah. All right. But let's get into the main meat here. Talk about the gameplay. So, as I said, this is your typical turn-based kind of JRPG. You know, your characters, you have a order limit on the side where you see which character is going to be going next in the battle. You pick your turn, you pick what you're going to do, you hit the enemy. You know, there's, some people have elemental resistance, some have elemental weakness. But what makes this so much more different is this game has a dodge and parry system. Some JRPGs have done it, like Sea of Stars, as Keith mentioned, has one, but it was more like you could put up a defense and you could block some of the damage. In this one, no, you can straight up dodge, avoid that damage, or parry, and actually like do a counterattack. So this gives a way more active JRPG. And what I like about it is it's way more simpler. Usually you're trying to balance a whole bunch of equipment, what you're giving your characters. Every character has their own very unique weapon and their very own unique fighting style. Every character is different. Whenever you play any, usually a JRPG, you're like, oh, this guy's my tank. Oh, this person's the mage. This person's the healer. This person's the archer. In this, Eric's camera just keeps zooming in on him. In this game, you really have so much freedom to build your characters. You get, every time you level up, you have stat points. You can put your stat points where you want them. Then you can learn some new skills. You have a wide skill tree of different abilities you can do. And they all vary from every character. Like your main character, Gustav. At first I thought, oh, he's going to be the tank. I got to build him with a bunch of health, bunch of defense. But then you look at his stuff and it's like, oh, no, he can heal. He can do defense. He can do offense. Like you can do a lot in this game. And like I said before, I saw a lot of people on the internet being like, I just can't do the dodge. I can't do the parry. But I think with the diversity of how the skill system is done, you can build a lot of defense. You can take hits and any of your characters can heal either themselves or your teammates. And you could just outlast essentially with attrition with the enemies. You can also respect your characters too. I just love this game's combat. You also have an open world. You're going around exploring, solving some relatively basic puzzles. Just the exploration in this game. Oh man, so many hidden bosses, so many collectibles. So this is another important part is you're getting these things called pictos. Just to explain it simpler, they're pieces of equipment. You can equip 3 of them. If you win 4 battles with them, you get the perk of that picto that any of your teammates can equip. You can equip an absurd amount of perks and just build your characters the way you want. I have one character. He excels at being low health. So I keep him at 1 health and he is hitting like a truck. But I put shields on him so he can actually maybe take some hits and not die. But I built this guy to be he literally has 80 might and 0 everything else. I just have this guy to be a glass cannon, and it works. And I love that. And then I have another character who's way faster. She can buff my team while this one guy is just one hitting everything. Yeah, I love this game's gameplay.
That's
If you
pretty.
can't tell.
No, so I just started Act 2, is where I'm at. But yeah, I really like it. So I guess in some ways, this game has gotten described alongside of a Souls-like, I think, because of the dodge and a parry, and it has some of that difficulty. Like so there was a couple fights I went into intentionally, or I dropped the difficulty on because I was struggling to get through, but it didn't feel. I don't know. It didn't feel like I was losing anything of the fights. Like I still got to participate, and it still had some of the difficulty, so it was still kind of fun. But I really just had a lot of fun, and like you said, with the Pictos and the way the Lumina system works, you can basically like I don't know, just have like these just beefed up characters with all these different stats. So I've just had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna say I have a love-hate relationship with this combat, but to be honest, the hate part of it is more just a skill thing for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. When you're talking about I struggle with the dodging and parrying part, yeah, that's probably me. I mean, I probably fall into that crowd. So there was a lot of frustrating moments where I literally was like calling myself an idiot. Like I'd get hit and I know I just clicked the wrong button for it. I'm like, you idiot. You knew that, you idiot. Um, so the hate moments are really just me not understanding um how to time things properly. For the record, I'm also really bad at Souls games. Just anything that requires me to dodge and parry. I don't know why. My brain just I think I'm looking at the wrong things every time, and that's what does. But everything else, and this is where I say this is why I think this game. I wouldn't say like if you hate JRPGs, I don't think that immediately discredits you from enjoying this game because the battle part of a JRPG is sometimes the area where people are in or out the most. I feel like that's kind of the thing that they like the action part or they don't. This does enough cool things that I just think that you could like it, even if it's not, because it's just not totally JRPG. It's JRPG in its format, but it does enough different things. Um, like I said, the Pictos I think adds the whole thing. Your weapons, also how you skill somebody compared to the weapon that you're using, enhances and does different things there. Each person fights completely different from each other. That's kind of unique and a lot of fun. Um, I just I really honestly love the combat. I really, really do. I wish I was not fat fingered with my tiny hands and could actually handle those moments. But yeah, I love the combat on there. To answer one of the questions in here, no, I am not from Charlotte. I am in Virginia though, so the closest major city to me is Charlotte. And yes, I have been watching Charlotte this year.
Oh,
Good question.
that checks out. I will say, so Lune is a spellcaster, but she's also my biggest tank. So of all of my characters, she has over 1,000 health right now. So because I keep her alive because I use her as my main healer. I think because she has a really good revive and a really good heal. So I just keep that on stock, and then for kind of rotating through elementals and stuff. So like, and that's where it's hard to not call her a spellcaster too, because her whole setup is built around elements. And I think that's kind of like, I don't know, any RPG is going to do this a little bit, but I think you said it, Andrew. It's really about, the tank uses a big hammer, the spellcaster uses a wand, and like, yes, the weapons are different for each character in Clair Obscur, but their actual skills and like special skills are so unique in how they use them. Like the stances for Mael, the little what is it? Spirits? No.
The tarot cards with Sael.
Is it
You
taints?
have the stains, the elemental
Taints. I
stains
was
with
gonna call them
Loon.
taints. But yeah, so but like they all have some sort of like specialty about how they actually fight. And I don't know, I just think that that's a really unique twist on it, and I like that about it.
Yeah. On top of it all, I think another element of this that makes it interesting are the boss battles, or not boss battles, really just most of the battles have interesting variations to them. You having the ability to free aim and shoot at somebody to hit weak points on them, interesting. And even this part started to play into strategy. So there's one boss you get to, and this isn't really spoiling anything. So if you haven't played it, it's not really spoiling anything. But there's one that produces these flowers by him. And what I was doing is I was mapping in my head because it shows you who's coming up next in the fight, because speed plays a factor in who comes up next in the fight. So I was kind of mapping that out. I was looking at who had what points, because every time you shoot one of those guns, it removes one of those points. So you can't use the skills. I remembered whose skills did the most damage to this guy. So I was mapping out, well, how many shots do I want this person to take to get rid of the flowers before his turn, then attack. And it was cool. Like, to me, that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun kind of mapping out what I needed to work through on that fight. Because I think I don't know if I died initially on that fight. I might have. And I just
I did.
realized, I was like,
know
oh,
what
yeah,
fight
I
you're
think I
talking
did.
about. I died.
Yeah.
So when I got to the second time, I was like, okay, I actually know how to map this out. Like, I know how to map this out. And I liked that element of it. And it, to me, that doesn't remind me of JRPGs. Just playing Final Fantasy games, I always felt were just very much just kind of blast damage at it. Maybe kind of heal yourself every once in a while, but that's kind of what you're doing. Where this felt like there was this whole other layer happening there that I loved. I thought it was awesome.
Well, yeah, because there was fights too. Like there was one of the optional mini bosses that I fought that it took me like a handful of fights, and part of it was because I was going back and updating or changing my skills out, or changing out my Pictos and my Luminas, and like tweaking it to go, okay, I wanted to, like, I realized I wanted to go really heavy on fire damage for the fight. So I went and readjusted all that, and it still had a ton of dodging. And it's a weird balance that I feel about some of these fights, because in a sense, I like this added element that I have to have this dodge, like really have to not fully master, but you have to get good at the dodge mechanics. But there are some fights, it gets to a certain point where you just feel like it's just a marathon, and you're just like, I've mastered this enough now. I think I can just move on. But you're still going to have to go through 15 more rounds of it doing the same triple attack over and over. Because this boss in particular had 3 attacks, 3.5, because his melee attack, sometimes he would do twice, sometimes he only did once. But outside of that, it was 3 attacks over and over again, and they were all easily mapped. It took forever.
Yeah, this is one thing I absolutely loved about this game, because always what goes hand in hand with any JRPG, and that is grind. Almost as everyone described, most JRPGs, you attack, maybe heal every once in a while, just go back and forth. That's it. But there's always a certain point where you're coming up to a boss and you just get floored. And it's like, well, I got to level up my people. Grind, just kill random guys, keep going, level up. Cool. Now I can take the boss on. And this, with the dodge and parry system, you could essentially take out any boss at level 1. It will take you multiple hours, but if you are good enough, you could do it. And I think this is like the kind of thing, this is definitely a toxic trait of me, because there was many bosses where I would get smoked, but I'm like, I am doing this. And I would spend way too much time fighting this boss just to when I completed, I'd gain like 8 levels. So it really helped. But I think this kind of moment is also what made games like, Elden Ring so popular. Like, it's very much skill based. If you can do these things. It'll be hard. It'll be difficult. It'll take you a while, but it's possible. And that's what I loved. That's everything about Expedition 33 is how much freedom I felt like I had on building my character, fighting who I want to fight. It clearly stated if you went to an area that was way too high, it's a danger. Like, man, I want to come to this area, but it gave me the option. It let me do it. So it let me learn my lesson pretty quickly that maybe I surely shouldn't be there. But there was a couple areas where I was fighting trash and they just would boost up my team so quick because I could actually win a fight or two. And this game also is so good at saving. So good at saving. Anytime you pick up something, saves. Anytime you fight something and win, save. Just anytime you transition screen, save. which is also something very rare in a JRPG. Usually you just got to save at checkpoints. But yeah, if you see a boss, and this is a pro tip I didn't realize, but Kel in our Discord mentioned it, that if you're coming up to a boss and it's been a while since it's saved and it's like a distance to walk, if you change your character's outfit, it'll save. So you can save right in front of that boss. And there you go. Now you don't have to travel as much anymore. But yeah, the game's super forgiving to let you just smash your face in an impossible boss in hopes that you can win. I loved it. But and the other thing the great thing about this game is it changes gameplay like a little bit. Like there's mini games. All of a sudden I'm doing a volleyball game on the beach with the Gestrels to it's just unlock cosmetics. And then there's a platformer where you're climbing up a huge mountain, literally climbing like these narrow areas. And if you fall, you got to start all over. But the game has sprinkled these little weird mini games, platforming. It just kept the pace going. And yeah, like I said, usually with a JRPG, it's a grind and you're just doing the same thing over and over again. But this actually mixed things up.
But yeah, I tried doing that, the platforming one. I gave up real quick on that one.
I completed it. It's a bit rough.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like it's doable, but it was like towards the end of my night. I was like, yeah, this isn't what I want to be doing. I'm gonna try and just go win one more fight.
Like I said, it's definitely a toxic trait for me. I'm just like, I gotta do this. I can't give up.
Yeah, Andrew, you kind of mentioned that JRPG grind. I admit that I fell into that a bunch. Where when I first kind of got rolled by a boss, I was like, oh, I got to go back and just start grinding. And that's what I thought. You do bring up a great point, though, is that you really don't have to do that. If you're good at the parrying and the dodging, so if you grew up playing Souls games, or if you played Elden Ring and you enjoy that and you're good at that, you'd probably be great with the parrying and the dodging. I didn't, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna power this with just pure muscle. So I'm gonna go grind a little bit. And that's just me kind of getting triggered by this is what JRPGs do, and thinking that's what I need to do. But you're 100% right. There's a way around that. Which, by the way, I need to add, if you do not like the combat in this game, I really do think you're missing out if you do. There is literally a story only mode. So if
It
I
still hits
refuse to
though.
do it,
Like
yeah,
I said, so where I did it in particular, it's because
you did that.
I did it for it ended up being for like 3 or 4 fights because I forgot to turn it off. But it was in
It's embarrassing.
the Gestral arena, not the story mission one, the optional one, and it was the I think it was supposed to be the final guy, but the one in the last on the list, like the big head guy, he just had this one attack that drove me absolutely bonkers because he would do like an actual fake punch, and I would dodge it every single time, and it would always hit one shot me. And I was like, I need to kill this guy and move on. So I storied it up, and I got past him. But really,
Cheater,
but
cheating.
yeah, no, fair.
But again, the mode's out there, and if you don't like JRPGs, I think this game is worth going for story. Just going for story alone. I will mock you though, because even me, who's not great at it, I am not. I refuse to do the story only mode because I do think the combat's fun, even though I'm not great at it. But I do think it's a lot of fun. But that option is out there. So again, if you are somebody that just wants to check out this story, this very interesting and well written story, 100% that mode exists out there for you.
Yeah. All right. But I'm going to say the few things, very minor, I wish they'd add. I wouldn't even change. One of them I can understand, but I would like is a mini map. Whenever you're in an area that's kind of small, I kind of would like a mini map. But I also understand why they don't have one. Like I said, this game is begging to be explored. There's just tons of crevices and nooks, always something to find. The rewards are always good. There's never you're never picking up just like in Elden Ring, you'd find just like shiny pebble, and it's like, oh, that was a waste of time. Everything was always worth it. You're either getting story elements, you're getting, currency. You got to explore this map. So I can maybe understand why they didn't put a mini map. But personally, it's like, I wish they had one.
I got turned around a few times.
Yeah.
There were sometimes you'd be in a battle and you'd kind of come out of it and you're like, wait, which angle am I looking at right now? And like I was going backwards like not too far, but then I was like, oh wait, I realized I'm going the wrong way, and I had to turn around and hike it the other way. But yeah,
Which, oh, I forgot to mention too a little bit with the combat and the gameplay. This game's also a little bit Souls-like, where once you kill an enemy, enemies are visible. So it's not Pokemon where you're walking tall grass, you get attacked by something invisible. Everybody's visible, and if you kill them, they're gone until you hit a save point or a rest, like a campfire. Once you do that, it can respawn the enemies. So if you don't do that, you're good. But that's it. It's not like if you die, you drop your currency and you have to go fetch your body. Not that, but at least you can clear out a whole area and not have to worry about constantly fighting random NPCs. But the other thing I kind of wish they had is an accessibility thing. Sea of Stars had it, and I wish they added to this. I wish they had a more visible timer window. In Sea of Stars, it specifically had a glowing circle that came from the outside of your screen and closed in on your characters. That way you could kind of time your parries, because some of the animations are very confusing. And the enemies are kind of fast and slow. It's like, I know they're trying to juke you. I get the challenge of it, but there's no latency like adjustment. So if I played on my main TV, there's a bit of a latency. So I had a very hard time doing parries. But if I played on my monitor or my computer, I could do it way easier. So I just kind of wish there was a more visual aid to help me determine when the parry window is. Very minor, like I said, very minor complaint. Because like I said, and so also because of that, also to mention, probably wouldn't recommend this for xCloud because there always is a little bit of latency with it. As I said, the saving's great. So if you ever have to quit, you're not going to lose a lot of progress, but the latency kind of sucks.
yeah,
So,
Andrew, why don't you just go play on story mode then? If you're struggling with you need
heck no.
visual aids, go play story mode like Keith.
I hate you. The first thing
Not the farthest one here.
So the first thing I would say is I actually don't want the circle. I think that would distract me more than anything. So while I get what you're saying about some of the attacks, most of them I think it's more like I would just forget to follow, like, okay, they have a sword that they're attacking me with, and I'd just be like looking at the just the main animation. I'm like, no, I need to follow the actual sword to know when to time this. And so it's just bad gameplay on my part is really the crux of it, is what it comes down to. What I was going to say too is, and I don't know if this would impact you, in your latency issues, if we're going to make up excuses now. Did you try putting it on, is it performance over quality? Like the default is quality, I believe. And
It
I
is.
changed it over to performance, and honestly, the quality didn't really look that much worse, but the frame rate going up, it's so sharp and smooth. I felt like it was actually easier to time my parry, not the parries, because I still was not messing with parries. Um, I was having a lot better efficiency, I felt like, with my dodge once I turned it over to the performance mode.
So there you go. Pro tip: use performance mode when you go into story mode.
And if it
It'll
doesn't work,
help
don't blame me.
your frame rates for story mode. So
Go try
There you go.
performance first, and if performance doesn't work, then go to story.
I actually did not realize that it had a performance equality mode till about a couple hours ago, and it's like, I kind of wish I did that. Yeah, because I'm defaulted on quality mode, so that's kind of unfortunate.
But usually games, when you go over to performance versus quality, it's noticeable. And honestly, it's really not that bad. Like, it really still stays very sharp. And so, yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. And it helped the gameplay, I thought.
Well, like Alex in our chat actually says he's been playing on his Steam Deck through Xbox Play, and it's been fine. So I don't know if your internet's good enough. Alex, look at Alex here.
Is that what he's doing? Is he flexing on us that he's got, that fast internet? Does he got that fast
We got 2
5G
gig downloads.
T-Mobile internet at his house? Brag much.
It's coming off his Tesla, actually.
All right, but the next thing, absolutely fantastic in this game, I really want to hit is the audio. This soundtrack is seriously absolute gold tier. One of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a video game. Like, when you usually think of like iconic soundtracks, I honestly would put this even with like the most iconic soundtracks like Halo with the monks.
Whoa.
Loved
Hold on.
this game's
There
soundtrack
it is.
so much.
There it is, everybody. We knew
No.
Andrew was going to come up with something bad here.
I've actually been listening to the soundtrack all week while I've been playing this game.
Hold on.
I love this game soundtrack so much.
Hold up. Listen, the soundtrack is outstanding. I've got nothing bad to say about the soundtrack, but you really can't. And this is when we talked about South Midnight, which you hated that soundtrack, and me and Keith
Oh my
loved
God, I did not hate
the
that
South
soundtrack.
Midnight soundtrack, and I said it's an all-timer.
Once again, have you listened to that soundtrack?
I'm a little careful though, because time really tells you how good a soundtrack is. It's after time, how long does it go where it sticks with people? And I was careful when I talked about South Midnight soundtrack being excellent. My whole point was there are games I go back to, or even when we talked about Oblivion last week, there are Bethesda games I will still reference back to some of those soundtracks. I'll think about a song that I'm like, oh, I loved that. We don't know that quite yet here. It is an outstanding soundtrack. I 100% agree with you. I've got really nothing bad to say about it. It's wholly unique, like South of Midnight, wholly unique, and it's incredibly well done. It fits this game perfectly. I don't know how I'm going to call it one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. Wait, time will tell. Time will tell.
I'm already predicting time, and I think it will.
The thing is it's I would liken it to Halo, and this is what I've been saying about it is like, especially where we have South of Midnight and we have Clair Obscur so close together, and just both fantastic soundtracks, and probably arguably going to be the contenders up against each other at the end of the year in this category. So they're both equally good, but the thing is that I think they just serve a different purpose. In that South of Midnight, the songs were the story. It was an actual part of the storytelling process, and they became so tied into it in that way. But they were also really good. But they were also very important. In Clair Obscur, they're important, but in a way that is like Halo, is that it really sets the tone of the moment, that a big battle's happening and the music ramps up into it, and you feel the moment through the song. But in the same sense, you can kind of take it out from a story aspect, and that's where they're just completely different in how they're used as elements of the game, but both equally fantastic.
All right. So I like Alex agrees with me, but Craig disagrees with me in the chat. All right. This is why I'm going to kind of explain a little bit. The music never stops in this game. It is always going. So I have it on Spotify on the screen. If you're seeing our video, there is 154 tracks in this game, 7 hours of just music. If you look at the soundtrack, it literally is just like, oh, when you're in the town of this area, this soundtrack, this soundtrack, this soundtrack. It is all over the place. It is nonstop playing, and it is constantly just playing the mood. There's lyrics in it. And this is the other thing too, what makes such a good soundtrack is the diversity of it. Yes, this is a lot of opera, orchestral music. Like the main song just hits so well. Also, too, look at the views. This game has been out for a couple weeks. The main song has 2.2 million plays. Every song has hundreds of thousands of plays. This soundtrack is just next level. You play something like the main song of Lumiere, really nice, orchestral, calm. My other favorite song was Minoko. As soon as this hit, I was like, this song is awesome. It's just
with that.
It's just so different. And I think this soundtrack is just absolutely phenomenal.
This is so loud. You are just, people's ears are bleeding right now,
This is so weird. I don't know why it's so loud for you guys. I have it like whisper quiet for me.
I tried to explain Andrew this before. Anytime he tries to play music on here, it does not work the way that he thinks it's been working.
I know.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. Again, I think the music is outstanding. I think you are pushing a pressure button here with me and Keith, just because 2 weeks ago you dogged on South of Midnight soundtrack.
I did not dog. I hate that you guys keep saying I hated that soundtrack.
So now that you're coming out
my
here
only
and
complaint is I didn't like some of the placement of the songs. That was all I said.
So now that you're coming out here and saying,
damning review.
oh, this is as good as Halo. Now it's like, okay, all right.
Can we really trust any of Andrew's opinions? This is what I'm getting
I
at.
mean, I'm just saying. I think like now he put me on a side where I feel like I'm fighting against this soundtrack when it isn't. I love the soundtrack, but he's making me feel like I have to fight against it because of he's put me into this position. Now I'm getting defensive over something I don't want to be defensive about. The soundtrack's outstanding. On top of that, soundtrack is great. The voice acting in this game is also outstanding.
Yes.
Like just excellent voice acting in this game.
Yeah, how'd they get Andy Serkis?
How did they get Robert Pattinson? I mean, that guy
Without
is
getting it, that's the most
Batman.
impressive.
And here he is as Gustav in this game. It's just really impressive stuff. Yeah, Andy Serkis is obviously no joke. So to get him in this game is pretty impressive. I mean, that is freaking Gollum. Okay, that's Mr. Planet of the Apes, and he is in this game. Yeah,
Like, I feel
outstanding.
like
Charlie Cox too. That
it's either because I mean I imagine he still got paid a good chunk of money, but money isn't everything for like your name when you're I don't know, you're running kind of his circle, I guess, right? Like he has such a pedigree of things he's worked on to just throw your name, I don't know, really for any amount of money onto just some random indie game of people who've never done this before. Like you said, the music producers off of SoundCloud, the story writers off of Reddit. You're like, what makes him, other than he looks at the story and goes, "There's something here," and I believe in it. And I think that's a pretty glowing review in that aspect. At least if I, imagine that's his angle. I could be totally wrong. Maybe they just paid him a crap load of money.
Yeah, that's probably it. Probably probably a cool $1 million took care of that for him real quick. If I can, I have not had really a gripe with this game yet. If I have a minor gripe, here's where my minor gripe does pop up though. Excellent voice acting. But this was pointed out in a text message group we were in. Then it did stick out to me as well when I'm playing this. This takes place in France. It's very French. And yet everyone has an English accent for some reason.
No, they have an everything accent. When you're picking up journals, they're audio logs. I heard a Russian. I heard one sound maybe Asian, maybe like Japanese. Like you're actually getting a lot of different dialects.
It makes me wonder, are there different groups that are going to this island from different countries?
They
like,
reference
is that what this is?
Now,
is that
well,
it? I thought they all came from their area.
So that's what's interesting, actually. At least if I recall correctly, now this goes back to the early part of it. They talk about putting up some shell, and just like there might be other cities who've done this too. So like they do reference that they may not be the only settlement that's impacted by these events.
Yeah, I mean nobody
There's
in your
no
group
proof
is Japanese or anything. It's not like.
But that's where like
Lune's like Asian.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, it's the voice actress too is Asian.
Yeah,
I guess sure, but it's still just like. But it also could be like if this is some like semi-apocalyptic event, people kind of congregated towards one area.
Yeah,
and you kind of have that happening. So I don't know, but that's back on the
that's
story.
part of the mystery.
It is
part of the mystery.
But who knows? And I feel like we always ask this question of like, does this mean there's like a sequel? Is there DLC? Like, will we learn more about this? I don't even know how much they tell us by the end of the story, because
I really hope they come out with like an Expedition 82 and you just play as like a really old geriatric group that has to like equip different depends and canes and walkers to fight enemies. That's what I want.
Yeah, because they would have gone on there the year before they died. Well, yeah, and so the world was just normal up until that. Anyways, that's going back to the story. The voice acting is really good. I know I was talking about like the kind of the jokes that they tell, but like these moments of these conversations that these characters are having, they feel very genuine. And part of it is the writing, part of it is the actual voice acting too. And then there's just the whole added factor that Aaron had mentioned earlier is their facial expressions. They don't look like these weird teeth monsters. They look like human people having real human conversations, and it adds just so much more to it. It feels like you're watching a movie and so much more.
Yeah, it's no surprise that everyone's already clamoring online to make this a movie.
With
It
Robert
doesn't
Pattinson.
surprise me at all. I mean, obviously, Robert Pattinson would be starring in it since he's already in the game.
Isn't he British?
Yes.
All right, but graphics too. I love this game's art style.
Not an ugly game.
No, it is not. This game is gorgeous. They do such a great job with the color palette. They do a great job with the geography, monster designs. It's great. Also, very common thing that happens in a lot of JRPGs. You fight a lot of reskin monsters, a lot of different colored slimes, constant reskinning. In this game, there's a wide variety of monster types that you're fighting, which is also keeps you on your toes with the dodge and parry system. But they did not skimp on it. The graphics of this game I love. I just love the art style of it. You go to one area, super dark, gloomy, bodies everywhere. Next area, super bright forest, different colored leaves and plants. I loved this game's color palette.
Well, I think part of it is like you mentioned that the characters don't feel like, in a lot of games it's like, okay, you're gonna go in and there's gonna be a mage enemy, there's gonna be a bruiser enemy, there's gonna be a fast enemy, a ranged enemy, and you're gonna have these like archetypes where you go in. Each area didn't feel like it had a set of archetypes, just the same as the heroes themselves aren't really set as archetypes of your tanks and all of these things. It's not distinctly like, hey, I go into a fight like that's the archer, that's the tank. Like I don't have that until I fought them, and then you can kind of feel out what they're doing. In SKA, yes, voice acting, looks, design, everything about SKA is fantastic.
SK is adorable. I would not be surprised if they come out with a plushie of him. In fact, I want to Google this. I would like an SK plushie.
You know who his neighbor friend reminded me of immediately and I had to look it up, is I thought it was the guy who was in Flight of the Conchords, but he was also in the first Moana. He played the voice of the crab. And I thought it was his voice immediately, and I had to look it up. But I was waiting for him to start singing the Shiny song. If any of you know Moana out there.
There's literally skplushie.com. It's cool. And I don't think it's them because it's definitely kind of homemade looking, but somebody really grabbed the website and they're making plushies of SK.
So somebody got on that. Somebody's making money. So
$30. That's not bad.
Yeah, I think again, kind of echoing it graphically, I there is maybe some fidelity issues in certain areas. Like there are certain things that don't necessarily look awesome. You can tell in certain points that this is a AA game, but you can quickly kind of gloss over that in the sense that the game has life. Like it had a design in mind from the very beginning. So the art does not look like anything else you've ever seen. And I think for that, I think that's where graphically it really sticks out. I know this is really stupid. Like this is a stupid thing to kind of comment on, at least for me. But I love the costume designs too.
Yeah.
Like I even like their uniforms. Like I think their uniforms
black and gold.
I think that's a really cool, unique look. Even how the 33 is designed on it has a really cool, it almost looks like a turn of the century style to it. Like early 1900s kind of thing. And I love that. So it's even just simple designs that just really pop to me. And when you're kind of contrasting kind of how some of these, or the world they come from and the design of their characters to some of the worlds that they're interacting with is, again, just well done. And just the design just totally pops.
Well, you know what part of it is, at least as you were talking about, kind of the generic world that sometimes get put together, is I feel like a lot of people lean into, I just lost the right word for it, but like Cthulhu and like that whole realm when they're trying to do Lovecraftian, thank you, of like when they're trying to do this sort of like not fantasy but fantasy, and it's not old timey, so we'll just throw it in Lovecraft and we'll make it Cthulhu. And there's like one character, maybe there's like this weird arm monster that you fight that I'm like, yeah, I guess that could be a bit Lovecraftian, but otherwise this game doesn't touch that, which I'm like, that's kind of a bold choice to actually just not do that.
Yeah. In fact, you make a good point. A lot of enemies are just, their designs are very unique. You get some that are stone sentry looking, very, asymmetrical, kind of sturdy looking. You get some that are kind of amorphous blobs, some that actually look like an actual creature, some that look like an elemental that was just like a spawn of a creature of an elemental. It's the designs of them are just all over the place, but it all fits so well in this universe. It's crazy. I can't believe how like much top marks of like the art style and everything in this game is. But I felt like there was another thing. Oh, but yeah, I wanted to talk about the costumes that you mentioned, Darren. The costumes in this game, once again, are just cosmetics. No purpose for them. I don't care. I wanted to collect them all. I wanted to collect all the hairstyles. Some of them go from very goofy, like your characters can get the gestural hairstyles that are kind of these like brushes, doing those crazy mini games of like climbing the tower. You get a bathing suit for your character, which the one from Minoko, he literally has like a banana hammock. That was the one that was the
Nice.
really tall tower.
That's
And it's
awesome.
like, that's great.
I
Well,
got
that
something
is-
to hunt for.
So that explains that then too, because they have an option for that where it's like, do you want to turn on these cosmetics for the storylines? And they're like, even if it, and they even say it like kind of as a joke, they're like, even if it does make it kind of silly. And I was like, I haven't seen anything silly. What are you talking about? That
he has his head stuck in a like one of those donut like flotation devices, and then banana hammock. But I actually turned that off because that actually was getting distracting. So I like that they added that, but it's also kind of inconsistent. It's very much the cinematics they take it off, but when you're in a campfire talking with your teammates, it's still there. You still got the cosmetics. But yeah. Oh, and another tiny gripe. I wish this game had a photo mode. Like, I never cared for photo mode, but for a game like this, I'm like, this would be awesome. Because the main reason I wanted it, you see a lot of corpses from previous expeditions, but they didn't have the numbers on their arms. So that was kind of annoying me, where like they make a really cool scene of how people died, but I'm like, what expedition are they? Some of them, obviously, you pick up a journal, so you're like, oh, it's Expedition 60. Okay, I get that. But I wish they actually had the number on there because not all of them have it. Very minor gripe, though. But yeah, achievements. This game is solid. It's not. I mean, it's a JRPG, so for achievement hunters, it's going to take you some time. But all the achievements are very manageable to get. Obviously, a lot of story progression ones. Every character has their own very unique one because each one has their own play style. So there's an achievement tied to each character, kind of on how their play style works. I like the achievements of this game. It was feeding me a good amount of them.
I do want to mention an online issue though I saw. Supposedly they said if you do not get the first journal in Lumiere, if you miss that one, there is literally no other way to get that, and you will miss out on that achievement to collect all of the journals. Because there is a game plus at the end of this. I am aware of that. So there is a new game plus. And if you get the journal there, it still does not count. So just a heads up, I guess if you are trying to collect all the journals, make sure you find the one in Lumiere. I don't know where it is. I'm assuming, Andrew, you found it.
I don't know. So I scoured Lumiere because I actually like paused halfway through and came back to the game. There's an achievement too to find a mime. There is a combat area where you fight the mime in Lumiere. I stumbled upon that and I got that achievement. But I don't know.
I thought I scoured Lumiere, but I did not find the mime. And I don't know that I found the journal either. So
But you did not scour it in story mode.
The mime is near the harbor. Like when you're heading toward the harbor to the right, there's like a show going on of like dancers in front of fireworks. The mime is literally like right in front of it in an alley.
I
did go to the show.
Yes.
Man, I really want to know if I got that journal now. But anyway, yeah, the achievements though are very good though. I like the achievements a lot in this game. I'm hoping to find all the journals and everything like that. But all right, so let's get into our final thoughts though. Expedition 33. So this is a difficult year. Like I already like a couple games. I'm like, man, this is gonna be my game of the year. Like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 came out this year. Already, I was like, this game's gonna be my game of the year. I love Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But then I played Expedition 33, and I'm like, this game is just high marks across the board for me. This is everything I love in a game. It was made for me. I have so much fun with this. I hate that we keep doing this podcast because I literally just want to keep playing more of this and just keep Hopefully we just do like an easy game. Let's do like Paw Patrol next week. Something really simple. Because I just want to keep playing this. But Expedition 33, it's you need to check it out. I understand, like I said, a lot of people kind of complain about the dodge and parry system. I was sucking at it at first, but I was like, I'm gonna get better. Like you just gotta keep working at it. But like I said, you could build your characters to be more tanky and take hits, and you can you can be fine at sucking at dodging and parrying. It's not totally required. You can lower the difficulty. You can lower the difficulty anytime. There's no achievements tied to difficulty too. I should mention that. But this game is just, I can't praise this game enough. You need to check it out. I'm gonna give it a 97.
Yeah, I didn't really know. Like I never follow hype about games really leading up to them. I had watched one of the most recent Xbox Insiders where they had shown, the trailer for this. I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Seems like an interesting world. Truthfully, didn't really have a lot to go off of. And then I started hearing a lot of good things about it. So I was like, okay, but I have a really bad track record of people, this is the game of the year. This is this. I'm like, nope, not for me. Like Elden Ring.
We're in May.
Well, I'm just talking about like, with game. Well, that's a good point, I guess. For
there's
that
still
point.
so many games coming out,
but like, just more so like like games like Elden Ring, especially because I'm like, I don't do dodges, I don't do parries. You immediately when I know that's a heavy part of the game, like I'm not gonna have a good time with this, and that's not the biggest thing, but just in general, like just because everyone loves a game, it's not because I'm so cool. It's just I'm a simple man. I get excited about big numbers in Balatro, like it doesn't always do much for me. So I didn't know that I was gonna love it, and holy crap, I do. It's just I don't know. There's nothing bad about it. I think the most negative thing I could say is kind of like Aaron referenced, is that every so often the game will show a little bit of it's like, oh, this isn't truly AAA. In like there was one moment a character put their head on another character's shoulder, and I think it was because of the cosmetic they were wearing, but their face just kind of like goes invisible into the arm. It's like, that's kind of weird, but that's the worst thing I have to say about it. So yeah, I think that yeah, I'll just copy Andrew. I'm just gonna say 97.
If Keith is giving a story-heavy game a 97,
I know.
It's a must-play. Because that man avoids story at all costs. I mean, Balatro is his favorite game for a reason. It's really funny because 2 weeks ago we reviewed South of Midnight, and I said South of Midnight will be my biggest surprise of the year, where I really didn't have a ton of expectations for that game. And I went into it and I actually loved the game, and I thought it was outstanding. And I can't tell if this actually just surpassed it just 2 weeks later. This game might have actually surpassed it because, like I had said, when I saw the initial reveal for this, I felt less for this than I felt for South of Midnight. So maybe this actually ends up being the biggest surprise, and here it is just two weeks later. Yeah, I mean, what else can be said about this game at this point? I mean, it's just it's an outstanding game. There's very little to complain about this game. I don't know what the game of the year is going to be. I don't know. It's crazy to think that this is May. It's crazy to think we're getting these massive games from small studios that are just completely blowing up all over the place. I think somebody pointed out that, like, if you go to the Steam page right now and you look at their top selling games, 3 of their top 20 are AAA games. The rest are double and single A games. And this just gets added to that list of amazing games made by a studio this is their first game with not a lot of budget, but with some really great ideas. And, where everyone thinks gaming is dying out and it's struggling, you look at Activision, you look at Ubisoft right now, you see the state of these companies and you think gaming is in trouble. It really isn't. There are studios like this that exist, and there are studios like this that are absolutely killing it right now. I don't know if I've ever really put a game in the 90s, but yeah, I think this probably does deserve. You know what? let's go across the board here. 97's across the board. I think this is
going to be like 85.
No, this is darn near close to being perfect here. So yeah, this is a 97.
Dimitri in the chat asked what are going to be top 3 game of the year so far. For me, as I said, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, definitely Expedition 33, and I'd actually even put South of Midnight. But I mean, South of Midnight to me, like after Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Expedition 33, like they're very high. I cannot wait for Doom. Doom's coming in a couple weeks, and it's like I don't know what I'm going to pick at the end of this year.
Listen, here's what sucks about this. It's like, yes, was this an excellent game? Yes. What game am I going to play the most? Marvel Rivals.
So, Keith Pilatro.
Yeah. So the problem is my game of the year is probably going to be Marvel Rivals because that's just what I play all the time and I have a ton of fun playing it. But no, if disqualifying just any type of what do you call those? Not live action, live service games. Discounting all of those, this one is probably at the top of the list.
Thank you, Joe, for joining us. Do you want to say? Oh, you said your top 3 in the games in the chat, Keith.
Yeah, I mean, as far as this year, well, so yeah, I mean, out of this year, I would really this run of 3 weeks, I think is just it's it right now for where I'm at because I don't really play a lot of games that aren't what we're playing on Game Pass or some Rivals there or whatever other games I'm into, but I don't generally play a lot of games off of this. So yeah, this run of 3 weeks has been like a really, really good stretch of games. So right now, at least this is it, but we'll see where the rest of the year takes us.
Man, a couple of people in chat wonder where Liz is. Liz is still around. She just hasn't really wanted to had time to play video games.
She's also got a baby to deal with. You're the one that's off, goofing off here. She's got the baby to take care of.
I know. Ever since we had a new one, it's been much more difficult.
And you know what? I kind of take offense to this. Is there like a problem with me? Is everyone just like, where the heck is Liz? Because we got to get rid of me? Because I'm clearly the replacement here. So like this feels like an indictment. So it's kind of messed up. You should maybe ask this question when I'm not around.
Yeah, I already did kind of ask the question. I think this year might be the best year for video game music, and especially with Doom coming out. But
you're getting another good soundtrack.
But yeah, if you agree or disagree, please join us on our Reddit or our Discord. We're very active on there. I will have our links in the show description to our link tree, which will bring you to all the stuff. So come join us. Talk to us, say hi. We always love hearing from people. Thank you all so much who has joined us in our chat today. You guys had some great takes, even though some of you were kind of attacking me. I don't appreciate that. But it's always great to hear you all and interact with you all. Thank you for joining us. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird0952. But yeah, like I said, we record every Wednesday around 8:30, 9:30 EST, 8:30 or 9. So yeah, come by and say hi.
I've been Keith. Thanks, chat. This has been awesome. This is I think this is the most active our chat has ever been. So this has been a lot of fun. And so hopefully you guys all come back for more. And we'll see you next week, hopefully.
And I'm Aaron. Like Andrew said, we just recently started a Reddit. So check out that Reddit. Discord, we just put a link in the chat here, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah. Oh, Dimitri, see you like Tectonica. I love you, man. See, I'm not the only one, Aaron.
Jeez, game sucks.